Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girlz. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here are your supernatural hosts, Patricia Baker and Becky Andreasson. Supernatural Girlz.
Welcome, everybody, to Supernatural Girlz Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with my terrific co-host, Becky Andreasson. Becky, how are you tonight?
Fine. How are you, Patricia? And hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm fine, but guess what? We've got another echo on the line. What a surprise.
Oh no.
Yes.
I'm not hearing an echo. Am I echoing?
No, it always starts this way. Blog Talk has still not fixed the problem. So what I'm going to have to do is have us hang up. And Robbie, our guest, is on the line. I know you're waiting to come on the show, and we're going to have to ask you to hang up, Robbie, and call back in. We're all going to call back into the show at the same number and hopefully get rid of this horrible echo so people can enjoy listening to this wonderful show tonight. So let's all hang up. We'll call right back. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right with you.
Okay.
Okay, we are back, and let's hope that the feedback has disappeared.
Yes.
I don't hear it, so I think we're good.
Good. Yes, good to go.
My goodness, it would be nice to have one show start without feedback.
I know. I know it. Oh, my gracious.
Oh, goodness. Well, anyways, I'm so happy to be here with you, Becky. We've got such a great guest tonight. She's going to be taking us on an Aboriginal healing journey. Robbie Holz will be joining us shortly. So be sure to call in tonight, listeners. If you have a question, the phone number to call in is 646-478-0828. So, Becky, what's going on in Virginia? Do you have snow? Do you have freezing rain? What do you have going on down there?
We have freezing cold wind. Wind, and it's cold and raw and I'm ready for spring. Aren't you ready for spring?
I am so ready for spring, and oh my God, it just can't come soon enough. This Arctic cold is not fun.
I know. I can't believe it. Oh,
no, it's
and
awful.
The kids home from school.
That's the worst part of it, isn't it?
Ay. It's like, wow.
I know it, really. It just reminds me of that really funny Staples commercial when the parents are riding the carts down the aisle singing "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year." When the kids go back to school. And it's true, so many snow days and freezing rain days and all this, so it's time for them to go back to school.
I know it. I know. I like to see their little minds put to work and come home and talk about school and all the exciting things instead of idle hands,
Yes.
With
right.
no snow, they can't go outside and play in it, just the bitter cold wind. It's like, geez.
I know. There's no redeeming anything about this cold weather at this point. So we're ready for a big, nice, warm change. So
yes.
Well, I just want to also remind everybody to go to our website, which is supernaturalgirlz.com, and subscribe to the newsletter so that all of our listeners can then receive the latest show information. We've got dream and prosperity tips now every week. We've got discounts on products, and we also have the Supernatural store. So we have lots of great things. And this week we have an announcement about you, Becky, being interviewed on EA Radio, which is so cool. This is MUFON Radio. You did a great job, by the way. It was a super interview.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking with Terry, yes.
Well, it was great, and that's also in our newsletter. You can just click right on the link there and listen to that super interview with Becky. And we are offering a new class, you and I, Dreaming the Impossible. It's a return to a state of grace. So all of that information about the class is on our website, and it's limited to 4 people. I think we only have 1 spot left. So if this is something that you're interested in, just send me an email or call me up. Let me know that you want to sign up for the class. We're going to have some really groundbreaking things that we're offering, and it's going to move a lot of stuff through, and it's going to be all about transformation. It'll be fun, too.
Yes, it will. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Power Preppers this week, we are going to be talking with Dr. Mark Davis, medical doctor, about his new book, which is called Obamacare Dead on Arrival, A Prescription for Disaster. And Dr. Davis is going to be exposing Obamacare. He says it is a downward spiral towards scarcities of pharmaceuticals, therapies, hospital beds, and physicians. Doesn't sound good.
Wow.
And, he's also going to tell us about the horrific events that follow when medical care is rationed and how it will directly affect you. So this is a do-not-miss show, and all of our shows are archived. So if you can't make the broadcast time, then you can listen anytime. So it's super convenient. And at the end of our show tonight, Becky, you're going to deliver another message from the elders to one of our listeners, right?
Yes, I am, and I have such an unusual, beautiful name that was given me tonight for the message for this person. Wait till you hear at the end of the show. What a beautiful name.
Oh, good. I can't now.
Yes.
I'm all excited. I want to hear who it is.
Yes. Wait till the end of the show, Patricia.
That's right. We got to wait to the end. And we have, again, Robbie Holz. And I did have some paranormal news, but because we had to start over again, what I'm going to do is forego that for tonight because we have a lot to talk about with Robbie. She's got a tremendous subject to discuss about Aboriginal healing. She's a co-author of Secrets of Aboriginal Healing, a physicist's journey with a remote Australian tribe. And Robbie herself is an holistic health consultant who is dedicated to continuing the healing work of her late husband, Gary. And she herself, she was healed from hepatitis C. So this is another amazing miracle. We've got to hear all about this. So how about if we bring her on right now?
Yes, let's.
Okay, Robbie, welcome to Supernatural Girls.
Hi, Robbie.
Thank you. It's fun to be here. I kind of thought the echo in the beginning was sort of a little paranormal, supernatural sound effects that were pretty cool.
I know. We have a little paranormal tadpole that won't leave us here.
I thought, wow, that's great.
Gremlins. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, it's not bad when it's just a little bit, but then when it goes on through the whole show, it's very tiresome, believe me. But thank you for being patient.
No, I thought it just added a little bit of fun to it, so it was interesting.
Sweet. Well, you have had quite a journey with Aboriginal healing with your late husband. Your book is phenomenal. Becky and I didn't we love this book? This is a great book.
Oh, my. I even discovered a secret, which I'll talk with you later about, but I just want to hear you talk about it. It's so exciting. Oh,
thanks.
I love it. I love the book.
Good, thank you.
So tell us from the beginning, how did you get involved with all of this and with Gary and his remarkable recovery from MS? How did you come to get involved in all of this?
Well, it actually started when I met him. My late husband, had gone out into the outback in '94, and I met him in 2001. And he came back from the outback and realized that he was a gifted healer, and he actually healed my sister. I come from a big Catholic family, And one of my sisters had an unusual, very rare disease, uveitis, and so she had lost most of her vision and had a little bit of vision left in her eye. And I knew he was courting me, and because I love that your listeners are already so aware of this stuff, I can go there. We had met at a 4th of July party, and all the past lives flashed across my face, and it freaked him out. He had never had that happen before, but he realized that I was the one he had been waiting for, and we were going to do this journey again together. And so he was kind of pursuing me, and I wasn't interested. I wasn't having none of it, and he offered to heal my, you know how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he was going to teach me. He knew that he could woo me if I would learn how to heal animals. So he was going to teach me how to heal animals, and because I'd become aware that there was alternative means that were incredibly powerful. So anyway, long story short, he offered to heal my sister. He said send her out, and 4 days later, she was healed, and that won the girl over. I tell you, it was like somebody had flipped the switch. Yeah. I immediately fell in love with him and knew that we'd be together forever. So
now,
that's
when
what got
you say
me.
That your sister was healed, did she actually recover her full sight?
She did, and it was really interesting. We're writing a sequel right now. It'll be out this year, and we talk in the sequel about how she got that vision back and what was happening to her as he worked on her for 4 days. Now, it's interesting to note that sometimes people heal too quickly and they haven't made any changes. And that's what we'll talk about tonight, is how if you don't make any changes, it's going to come right back again. There's a reason that it's here, and so you've got to make those underlying awarenesses brought to the surface and get rid of them. It's kind of like picking a dandelion. If you don't get to the root, it's just going to go right back again, which is why a lot of times people have cancer come back or tumors that are removed will come back again. You've got to get to the emotional root, which is what the Aborigines taught us. So my sister eventually, it started to come back again over time, and then she started to wake up to, this is what's creating the problem, and started shifting that again. So, yes.
So she was able to get a full healing because she gathered the awareness around it even after she regained her sight. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And then over time, but, she had kind of digressed again. We always joke that, Gary was always working on my family. All the family members were getting help. And then before we knew it, all of the other extended family and friends and everybody wanted assistance. And we always joke that when Gary passes, we are going to fall like dominoes because he's just always working on us. So after he passed, my sister, she did go back a little bit, but certainly much more improved than what she was before. And now she understands what changes she needs to make, and she's making those changes. So I don't doubt that down the road she will regain her total vision back again because now she understands what was creating it in the first place. So we'll talk about that. Yeah.
The book really details your late husband's journey, and which was, I was just so amazed that he got on the plane. Here he is in a wheelchair with MS, and he got on the plane to do this incredibly arduous journey to the Australian outback, and not even knowing what he was going to find when he got there. Could you tell our audience a little bit about this? Because it had to take such courage for him to do this.
Yeah. Or incredibly desperate. That's another option, and that's really what was going on. He was a physicist. He was a scientist. He had about 13, patents for top secret. They're all top secret except for one. He was just this brilliant man. He had an aerospace company. He was very well respected, but he also had multiple sclerosis. He had numbed himself emotionally from a really abusive childhood until he literally numbed himself physically. And the doctors, he had become a quadriplegic for 7 years. That meant he had no feeling from the neck down and very little movement. And, he was a triple Scorpio. He was very tenacious. He kept working despite that until finally the doctors told him in a very well-respected clinic in California, you've got 2 years left to live. You need to start wrapping this up. And actually he really had about 6 months. So and the book details, as you know, how he wandered into a jazz bar that night to soothe his soul, happened to sit next to a woman who was a naturopathic physician from Australia, and she happened to tell him about the healing gifts of some of these remote Aborigines, and she happened to know how to get a hold of them, a number of synchronicities that made him, he just got that sense, and we all know when that soul, just sort of that inner voice is calling, telling you, this doesn't make any sense, everything about it is crazy, but I just get the sense that I got to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so even though he was very much a scientist and living in that logical mind, he just kind of felt like it was his last desperate effort, that if this didn't work, nothing. He really, quite honestly, didn't think he'd come out of the desert. He brought a voice-activated recorder so that his kids would know what happened to him. And beautifully, that's the exact dialogue that we then were able to put in the book because he had these recordings. So nobody would go with him. They thought if nobody's going to go with him, he's a quadriplegic in a wheelchair, he wants to go out into the outback desert, this is craziness. And so they thought nobody will go with him, he won't go. Well, like I said, Gary's a triple Scorpio. He found a way to go.
And they knew he was coming. That was amazing.
Of course they knew he was coming. They knew he was coming before he even knew of them. And when he called that number that the woman had given him, the Aborigine on the other end said, well, what took you so long? We've been waiting for 4 months. And Gary had just learned about him. Because they're so tapped into the grid. They're so connected. And they knew he was coming, and they call it the big guy or God or source, whatever. There's no gender to it, but the big guy had told them this man would be coming. They were to give their healing secrets to them. They were pretty reluctant to do that, to give their healing secrets that had been passed on for hundreds of thousands of years to a white person. But when they understood that this is something that the big guy wanted and that it was needed and that we really didn't understand how healing worked and this man would be able to take it out and help people, then they graciously gave their healing secrets to him and said with open arms, please take this out. And so that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, they knew he was coming. It was just, their abilities are astounding, and we can get into that too, but it's amazing when you really know how to use the mind and you work in these other veils and dimensions, what you can do.
That's incredible, and also the fact that the Aborigines were so generous to him, opening up their hearts and minds and their healing secrets. I mean, that's to him. I mean, he must have been very special to them and obviously special to all of us to be able to bring these things back with him to this country.
Well, I think he realized once he'd been there for a few days in this little village how remarkable it was that he was invited to be in this village, that he didn't realize what an honor it was. None of the tribe had ever seen a white person before, and they had brought in deliberately one woman who was a healer who was part Aboriginal and part English, and so she and this other man, the other Aboriginal who also had an apartment in Brisbane, Gary contacted by phone, he had that apartment because his children were in the city, and so that's why he kind of traversed both worlds. He would go back and forth. But the woman healer who was part English, part Aboriginal, and then this man, Ray, who had an apartment in Brisbane, they were the only ones that had ever been exposed to civilization, to the white man, and the rest of the tribe had stayed remote. And I think it's interesting. I think your readers will get a better grasp of what this is like if they realize that, when I had the opportunity to go and be with the tribe and perform ceremonies back in 2008, a year after Gary passed, and I traveled by jetliner from Brisbane to Uluru. The sacred Ayers Rock is another word for it. It's such an amazing high vortex of energy. But I was traveling in a jetliner for 5 hours over nothing but desert, going deeper and deeper into the heart of the desert. It's just vast. It's vast. So these Aborigines are, the ones that I'm talking about are the remote ones that are deliberately tucked away so that there's no connection to the white civilization. And I believe, from what I understand, that they are descendants of Atlantis and Lemurians. So they have tucked away and stayed safeguarded sort of in this huge, vast outback without connection to anybody else, and that's how they have learned to really use that power of the mind. This stuff has been passed on from generation to generation. They're the oldest continuous culture. It's just fascinating when you get to that level of where they're disguised as a primitive tribe, but actually they're really quite advanced. We're the ones that are primitive,
yes, that's true.
Clearly,
and there's so many amazing stories about the Aborigines and how they can just disappear all of a sudden they can just be gone in the landscape. You can see them 1 minute, and then they're not there anymore. I mean, it's that, I don't know how they do it. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, but it just seems like their connection with the land is so profound. They become a part of it, and we can't see them anymore with our physical eyes. Is that what happens?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, they know how to traverse into the other dimensions. They know how to change and lower or raise the vibration, just as others from the other side of the veil will lower or raise their vibration, so that it's kind of like reminds me of like an airplane propeller. If it's moving fast enough, you can't see it. And so they know how to, because they are safeguarded and they have really, really learned how to develop the power of the mind, which we all have the ability to do, and really learned how to work with the other side of the veil. That's how they know how to shape-shift and move objects with their mind, and they can call the fish to them. It's just astounding, the abilities that they have. They're telepathic to everything. So they're really tuned in, and they can hear the trees singing to us. They can talk to the plants and find out which ones will help for what. They can talk to the water and find out where it's located. And I think that, the Aborigines, one of the best things they have to teach us, there's so much, but one of the strongest is, one of their most strongest principles is it's of utmost importance to stay close to the land. It's sacred. It's the four sacred elements of fire, water, earth. It's just, they know that we're all one. They can see it. They can see the grid lines. If you look at their artwork, everything is connected. Everything is connected. There's no difference. They'll tell you can feel the rain coming because you're part of the rain. You can feel the relief because you're part of that. It's all one. There's no disconnection. It's just our minds have disconnected. So, yeah.
Amazing. And so they have stayed separate, and they don't have to worry about being encroached upon in this environment by white people. They're pretty much left alone.
Yes, because it's such a vast desert, and you have to remember it's a really harsh environment. There's no reason anybody would want to go out there. To us, it's very harsh. I was out there for a week, and I came in, and I was like, oh, my God, I cannot believe they're still out there. It's so hot. It's like 120 degrees. Everything is baked on a daily, in that heat every day. So if you just touch a piece of wood, it's so baked it just splinters off into your hands. There's wild pigs, wild camels, some of the most dangerous snakes, and we actually had a tarantula come to our fire that was the size of a dinner plate.
Oh, my God. Wow.
I know.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I was with this woman who's able, like the Aborigines, she's able to see into these other dimensions, and there's no veil for her. It's missing. It's gone. She can see. And so she was, when we got out into the outback to perform ceremonies, the first night she and I had our own little small camp out to the side. And she decided to make a fire and call in the ancestors. And all of a sudden, and I'm sleeping through the whole thing, thank God. And this tarantula, I think it's called a barking spider. It's the size of a dinner plate. I'm not kidding. Its body is as big as your hand. And she said it came to the fire, and it started chasing her. And so they were running around the fire with this tarantula chasing her around the fire, and she could see that it wasn't going to give up. And so, her name is Raven, and she put her hands on her hips. She stopped, and she just telepathically said to this tarantula, what do you want? Why are you chasing me? And the tarantula said, well, you called me here. What do you want? So.
Oh, my goodness. Isn't that something?
Wow.
So did they work it out?
Good question. Yes, they did. Once she realized she had called it in, then they communicated, and yes, she did. So I think that story may have made it into the sequel. I'm not sure yet. We're not done editing, but I thought it was really interesting. We're just full of stories.
It's a great story because, again, it illustrates that there's consciousness, there's awareness in everything. And
yes.
Yeah, even a dinner plate-sized tarantula, which I hope I never see in my life.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So it's a really harsh environment. There are huge, giant. There's ants everywhere, and you'll see sometimes even 7-foot tall ants colonies that they've built everywhere. And so there were about 20 women who had been invited into these ceremonies that I went to in 2008, and we'd assembled from all over the world. And the women, the Aborigines were on one side, the women Aboriginals were on one side, and then we were on the other side. The other women were on the other side of the camp, and with a liaison who could speak English in the middle. And all the white women were having trouble with their ants, just swarming. They'd have to get up in the middle of the night and move because there were ants all over. So I know Raven, and I know her gifts. So I put her to work the minute we got there, and I said, Raven, I'll set up camp, and you take care of these ants. And so she went off and created this little she went away from the camp. She talked to the ants. She gave them honey and all kinds of gifts and made it clear to them, we'll keep taking care of you if you stay off of our campsite. And so we never had any problems. And all the other women were moving every morning to find another campsite without ants.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God you and Raven became friends. And
she's a trip, I tell you. Yeah, it's
incredible.
fun.
And then you mentioned poisonous snakes, and you really have to know what you're doing when you're in this part of the world. I mean, you could wipe yourself out by touching the wrong tree, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes back to what are you focused on, because whatever you're focused on, you're going to draw it to you. And I deliberately did not want to put a lot of information into my head about what Australia was like in the desert, so I didn't read anything until I'm on the airplane to Australia, and I'm reading, oh my gosh, they have the most poisonous snakes and, spiders in the world. But I didn't go there into fear. I just knew that we would be taken care of. I knew we would be protected. I just didn't get the sense that it was our journey to go over there and get bitten or hurt. I knew that we were supposed to go there, and it's really interesting because we had missed our first flight. We showed up at the airport. We got there early so that we were helping. We were teaching people. Raven channels Mother Mary, among other things, and then I was teaching. And so we went to Brisbane, and we were teaching, and the lovely people who took care of us were just in charge of our calendar, and they dropped us off at the airport. We were going to head out into the outback. We go in, and our tickets aren't working at the kiosk, and so I love these Aussies. One man comes up and offers to help, and he's like, oh, these tickets were for yesterday. No worries. And so we knew we were supposed to go into the outback. So he takes us over to the concierge or whatever that man does who fixes the tickets, and Raven can see into the other dimensions. And we knew that then we realized how if we had gone the day our tickets were, we would not have been able to assist this beautiful community of healers that we had helped the night before. We would have missed that opportunity, and clearly Divine Spirit, or whatever you want to call it, wanted us to help these people and deliver the message from Mother Mary and the work that we were doing. So we just knew we're supposed to be in that outback. We just had no doubt about it, and we were just watching. And Raven can see what's going on as this man is punching in all the keys, and he's getting really worried and starting to sweat. And Raven is watching Michael, Archangel Michael, behind him help him push the keys. And so we just knew it'll happen. And sure enough, he finds the tickets for us, and he hands them to us, and we get there on time. And as we walk away, I'm so grateful to this man. I jokingly said, thank you. I'm going to make sure that my grandchildren get named after you. What's your name? And he said, Michael. And I just cracked up.
Oh, that's too funny.
Wow.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Now, is Raven part Aborigine, or what is her background? Sounds like she's
No, she's Native American. She's got some Native American to her. And, it's really interesting because I was speaking at a convention earlier this summer, and I was mentioning all the different things that the Aborigines can do. And, they can remote view, they can shapeshift, they can. In fact, we created thunderstorms when we were out there with them. They can control the weather. And I asked if anybody in the group could do any of these things, and every single thing I asked, this man in the back raises his hand. Every single one, he's able to do all of those. So I was really curious, who is this guy? And at the end, he sought me out, and it turns out he's chief of a Native American tribe. And it's this indigenous culture thing, And so when we went to the outback, Raven and I were the only ones from the United States who were invited. It was a very small group of women, and there was a couple women from Canada. The Australians were just so shocked that we would come all the way to be with the Aborigines, and they're like, well, why would you come here when you've got Native Americans? The Australians were coming here to the United States to see and be with the Native Americans.
Well, that's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So we're all traveling around the world to meet up with the same indigenous talented groups. So, oh my goodness, it is amazing though. This weather control is fascinating. When you said you were able to call up thunderstorms, how did you do that?
Well, I think it's important. We can all do these things. It's just important that you always do it with what's in the highest and best interest of all, because you don't want to start messing with the weather if it's not supposed to happen. But anybody, and I would challenge the listeners to go do this experiment, and it so works. And it just drove my son crazy that this stuff worked, because he doesn't really believe this stuff. And he came to one of my speaking event years ago, and I mentioned to the crowd, have you guys ever cloud bursted? Do you know what that is?
What is it? Make it rain.
Well, no, that's a good guess, though. When you cloud busting is where you take a cloud, and I suggest you start with a small one. You take a cloud, and I always ask, is it okay if I bust you up? And then you take this cloud, start with a small one, and you have the intention of it disappearing or breaking up, and you watch, and in a couple of minutes, that's exactly what will happen. It's very...
Wouldn't that rain?
Now it won't bring rain, but that cloud will disappear. It'll just disappear and go away. That's how powerful we are. We just don't realize it. Every thought is creating something, and so you really want to pay attention to what you're doing. And so if you do it with the highest and best intention for all, and like I said, I always like to ask permission first, but anybody can do that, and it'll show you how you are connected to that. There is no difference between you. It's just that our mind thinks that we're separated and different, but you're connected. So take a little cloud in the sky and just in your mind ask it to break up, and if you have permission to do that, and see it doing that and watch, and in a few minutes you'll see it start to break up. It's really
that
fun.
sounds like
going to be fun.
Yeah. That's step one, and then it sounds like there's a progression. Then you work your way up to thunderstorms. Is that how it happens?
Well, when you're working with the Aborigines, they're experts. That's just, kindergarten stuff for them. I'm not allowed to talk about what we did in these ceremonies, but what happened was the women wanted to start opening their world to the white person. They wanted to start opening it up more. The Aboriginal men were very opposed to it, understandably so. They really didn't want white people traversing into their world, and this is powerful stuff. And so you wanted to make sure that it was going into the right hands, that were going to treat it with respect and honor. Right. And eventually the women won out, and the men went to another location. We never saw the men because they were holding us. It was really powerful what we were doing, and we needed the men to be there to sort of ground us. And so they were holding the space, holding us here, keeping it safe, and then the women were with us. And I knew from my husband having been in the Outback, I knew they were telepathic. So I was really careful what I was thinking. But during the night when I woke up, I could see, you know how when you wake up and it's like if you wake up really fast, it was kind of like a negative in my mind's eye. I could see Aboriginal patterns in my mind's eye, which was really different and new for me. I had not experienced that before. And I knew that what they were doing is they were kind of reprogramming us, downloading programming.
Right.
Because we white women from all over the world were not quite ready for what they had to offer to us. And so we didn't really see them for the first couple of days. They were working on us. But I knew they were working on us, whereas some of the other women are wondering what the heck's going on. And then they would call ceremony, and we would go and run to the ceremony grounds and do what we did, and then eventually created thunderstorms that were so powerful. They kept circling the camp. Just kept coming around and around in a circle. It was like the tarantula, but it was bigger. It was chasing us around. And we got up on we could see Uluru. If you stood up on the Jeep, you could see Uluru off in the distance in this beautiful purple shade from the rain. And when we got back to the hotel, the clerk there at the front desk said, "That was so exciting. We haven't seen that kind of rain in like 5 years or 7 years, something like that." She was so pumped. And I just remember thinking, it wasn't really that fun from my end because we didn't know that was going to happen, and all our sleeping bags just got so soaked.
Oh, no.
cover it up because we didn't know it was going to happen. And so it's so freezing cold at night in the desert and so awfully hot in the summer. But at night, during the day, but at night, there's nothing like a cold, wet sleeping bag to create memories.
I would say
so. Never forget that. Oh.
Yeah.
Incredible. What a journey. Well, let's take a very short commercial break, and we will be right back. Becky and I have so many questions for you, Robbie. So
yes,
everybody stay tuned. And if you have a question for Robbie, you can call us at 646-478-0828. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back.
This is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the organic wine movement, since 1980 I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion. www.cosmicfusion.com to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We are having a fascinating discussion here with our guest, Robbie Holz, who is the co-author of Secrets of Aboriginal Healing, a physicist's journey with a remote Australian tribe. My goodness, what courage you have to go to the Australian outback and do ceremony and not know what to expect with any of this from one minute to the next, it sounds like.
Oh, I challenge the word courage. I think I didn't know what I was doing. Well, I'll tell you, the first night I got there in the outback, and I remember lying in my sleeping bag in the outback, and I just remember thinking, what the heck am I doing here? I just don't think I really thought this one through, because it kind of is like Mars. The topography is so different. The earth is red, and it's so harsh and different. And I remember hearing a plane overhead, and I just kind of got this huge sense of relief, like, civilization, I'm okay.
Now, you had healing yourself. Your late husband, Gary, did, but you also did. It says here in some of your material that you contracted hepatitis C from a blood transfusion. And
yes, when I delivered my son 28 years ago tomorrow, I was given a blood transfusion that had hepatitis C. And 28 years ago, they didn't have a name for it. They just called it non-A, non-B hepatitis. And so if they didn't have a name, they sure as heck didn't have a treatment or a cure. No. And so the hepatitis almost killed me. And to be honest, it was very deliberate because it got me on this path. I really was into my career. I was totally immersed in that. But I was not taking care of my body. I was pushing it. I was working 60 to 8 hours a week and, raising a young boy and a husband and building a home. I mean, really, what else have I not packed in there? And so I ended up with hepatitis, and the hepatitis almost killed me, and I survived. And then the experimental treatment that they put me on, I almost died from that, and I set a new record because I wasn't paying attention to my body. Everybody else would have said enough, and I'm just ignoring my body, and so ended up almost dying twice. So I kept surviving the slimmest odds, and that's when I had to start examining, okay, what's going on here? What's really happening, and why am I still alive? And that's when Western medicine had nothing else to offer me. There was nothing they could do. They said hepatitis was incurable. You'll have this forever. And but I knew I wouldn't survive. I knew that I'd go to my support group, and every time somebody else had passed that seemed to be doing all the right things, and I really didn't think I'd hit 50. So I knew I had to be tenacious and find my answers, and that's when I discovered that just because Western medicine had exhausted its means didn't mean there wasn't a ton of answers out there, and there's so many things that will help you if you just open up to them. So I had to learn, how to listen to the body. There's a reason that it's out of sync. Listen to the emotions behind that. There's a reason. I mean, there's this inner peace and bliss that's always operating underneath. And if you can stop, you can feel it. And then your emotions are sort of like a dashboard on a car. They're showing you when you're off base, when you've moved away from this bliss. And so the emotions are the first sign to let you know you've moved away from this finely operating vehicle. So the dashboard lights up. Now, it's kind of like an oil sign that starts flashing, but it's not on all the time. It's just a warning. Your emotions are telling you what's off. If you're in anxiety and fear and all that, and if you keep going far enough like I did, because I'm an overachiever, you'll end up with disease. And so I ended up with hepatitis and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And quite honestly, I could not get out of bed for like 6 to 9 months. I couldn't walk to the mailbox. I couldn't finish a sentence. I didn't know what I was talking about. My body had really shut down. When you've crashed it twice, you've done a beautiful job of really, making a mess. And so
You're also talking about trying to heal yourself when your resources are at their absolute lowest, when you have fatigue, when you can't think clearly, and this is when you have to, I guess, dig pretty deep to find the strength.
Yes, exactly. And the doctors are saying we have nothing else to offer you. There's nothing we can. That's when I started realizing that there's a lot of alternative stuff out there. But the most important factor, and the Aborigines will tell you this, the most important factor is your mind. It's about really an alignment of the body, mind, and spirit. If your soul is finished and the journey is done, you can't forget it's a soul's journey here. It's not a human journey. It's a soul in a human vehicle, the body. But if you have those aligned and it's your soul's journey to stay and to get well, which most of us are supposed to be well, most of us are not supposed to be sick. And if you're listening to the body and you're giving it, I started loving it. I started listening to it. It's not like somebody who's got a dance partner that's all of a sudden limping and you don't just keep dragging it and say, come on, I got stuff to do, get with it, the program. You lovingly find out, what do you need? What can I do? And there's always, as the Aborigines will tell you, an emotional core. There was a lot of emotional fear going on. This energy of fear and criticism and guilt, they're a different emotion that creates a different cell. And in that cell is just not very healthy. It's kind of like a slacker cell. I don't know if you do. Have you ever seen the movie What the Bleep and the water experiments by Dr. Emoto? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember how discombobulated and ugly that cell that had a lot of fear thrown at it was?
Yes. And I'm sure a lot of our audience members have watched that also and have seen that exact, very graphic image. Yes.
Right. It's a lower vibrational cell. It's like swamp. It doesn't move. It's not vibrating very fast, and it's a perfect breeding ground for disease. And if you start loving your body and start loving and start hanging out in the emotions of love and gratitude and joy, that creates a different cell. Remember the cells that had water? Do you remember what those look like when he?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They were beautiful, like snowflakes. It's a beautiful, functioning, high-vibrating cell. And so when you have love and compassion and gratitude that you're feeling, it creates a different chemical response. And that, when you're hanging out in those emotions, it's vibrating very fast, and disease can't sustain itself when you're in those kind of emotions on a regular basis.
So is that how you healed yourself then from fibromyalgia, hepatitis C? I mean, those are some pretty serious diseases that you had. So is it the first step that you decided, I'm just going to love myself through this and change my emotional outlook?
That's an excellent place to start, is to find out, and there's some great books out there that will tell you the emotional core to an illness, because certain energies will lodge in certain places. We hold a lot of grief in our chest area, and if you hold a lot of grief in your body and you're not letting it go, and you keep making it and you're marinating in grief, and if you have breast cancer in your genes and you have that weakness, then that's a lot of blockage of energy, and that can create breast cancer. So there's some great books. The Secret Language of Your Body by Ina Siegel is a great book to find out the emotional core, and that's what the Aborigines will tell you. And Gary discovered the same thing. There's always an emotional core. There's an emotional root. Heal Your Body by Louise Hay is another one that tells you the emotional core. So you got to find out it's kind of like if that dashboard is lit up, why is it lit up? What's going on here? Why do my brake lights keep coming on all the time? Here in Western medicine, we tend to just take the lights out, or cover it up rather than finding out why does that keep lighting up? What's the emotional problem? With me, I had a lot of guilt running in the background. And that's what the book, as you know, talks about. It's like what's going on in the background quietly running that's sort of sabotaging and creating a lot of toxicity and unhealthy stuff in your body. And at some point, the body just can't handle this kind of garbage, toxic, emotional, negative stuff, and it can break down. And so I needed to stop being critical. I was raised Catholic. I got guilt. I can teach that class so well. It's running in the background, and I didn't even know it. Oh, and so I needed to start realizing that guilt is one of the most toxic emotions, one of the most harmful emotions to the body. And it was constantly operating. It's never enough. That's why I pushed and worked so many hours. It's never good enough, that sort of thing. Perfectionistic attitude, that judgment, that comparison, very critical running in the background. And that was creating this overworking the body, not feeding it what it needed, not giving it. So I started eating healthy, exercising on a daily as little as whatever I could to start getting the body and energy moving again, start living in a more positive, love-based way, more compassion, more gratitude. Gratitude is a really healing emotion. And then I also started going to people who could help move that energy. Let's bring in assistance. And it's great that these healing secrets that the Aborigines have told us will complement whatever you're doing. They will work well with whatever you're doing because it's using the mind and the other side to shift it towards wellness. So I found a woman who was a beautiful naturopathic physician who could see where the energy was blocked. I didn't know what she was doing, but I knew she was moving it and clearing it and bringing in more healthy energy and light. And so, just tenaciously working at shifting from this negative, stressful environment, which was just too much for the body and the mind and the soul, to listening to the soul, slowing down, meditating, so that I'm lifting the needle off of that record, so to speak, of that mind constantly looping. You just start paying attention to what's more of a loving way to listen to the body and give it what it wants, listen to that mind and pay attention. Is that a healthy thought? Is that creating what I want? And then listening to the soul, So
you begin making more conscious choices about what you are thinking and then paying attention to what you're feeling. And I like how you're talking about this because I think it's really easy for people to misunderstand and see this as a blaming the victim kind of thing, that it's your fault you're sick because you had an abusive childhood and you're running that all the time. And it's easy, I think, for some people to misconstrue what you're trying to say, that it's not about blaming the victim. It's about empowering the person who isn't well.
Absolutely. It's not that you did anything wrong. That's just the mind judging it. You didn't do anything wrong. You just got some blocked energy. That's all. It's all serves a purpose. I think the Aborigines so beautifully teach us everything happens for a reason. There's no mistakes. There's nothing random. Absolutely everything is so beautifully designed with everybody around you. And so I needed to go through the experience of the hepatitis and finding a way to heal myself because it was part of my soul's journey to be helping others and empowering others and teaching them you have the ability to heal. You've got that power. Don't let the current beliefs tell you differently. I mean, we've all had experiences every single. I did a speaking engagement this morning, and one of the women there said, "Are you going to tell me that I'm a healer, that I can heal myself because I have a hard time with that?" And I thought, hasn't everybody had something where you've had a cut or a bruise or something and the body just knows how to heal itself? We have that power.
Oh, yeah, the body is made to heal itself. We get in the way of it.
The mind gets in the way, exactly. So you start learning how to use that mind to create what you want. The mind, unfortunately, has been in charge of way too much, and that's what usually creates the problem. So you want to learn how to shift that mind into being this beautiful, magnificent servant rather than being in charge. It was never designed to be in charge. It's pretty freaked out about being in charge. That's why it goes into that fear base. It's just a natural reflex. We're designed that way. So we're having the mind do things it was never designed to do, and that's when we get into trouble.
Exactly. And with Gary, again, your late husband, he had a remarkable healing that went way beyond the physical. I mean, he started to re-experience feeling in his body again, which he never thought he would, and then also he was able to heal his relationship with his estranged children. So that was a remarkable journey, that not just getting on the plane to go to Australia, but everything that happened after. It almost feels like he came full circle. Is that what happened with him?
It totally transformed him. 10 days time, he went out and went into the desert, literally unloaded like cargo in his wheelchair from the plane, went into the desert and was with them, I think, about 10 days, this particular tribe. And in 10 days' time, he understood how he had numbed himself emotionally till he had actually numbed himself physically. and into the MS, and understood now it was about feeling emotions, letting us. The Aborigines say, well, we get so caught up in these emotions and we just hang on to them, and then before you know, we got a story and we're carrying that story around with us all over the place, and we never let it go, and that's where we get into trouble. And that it's about feeling these things, let them come to you, and then just let them keep on going. You don't hang on to it and let it go. And he needed to let go of his really abusive childhood and realize that his father, as abusive as he was actually his best teacher. He was a gift, that it's the biggest, most painful that are often the best teachers. So he ended up, after 10 days, feeling in his body again, which he hadn't felt for 7 years, and also clumsily walked on that airplane down the aisle, but more importantly, transformed himself internally. It always happens from the inside out. And he was so blown away by what they had done and how much they had changed him. And, you know, as a scientist, black and white, they taught him that there's a lot of gray that can't be seen, that it exists nonetheless. And that's when he realized he was a really powerful healer, and he had a lot of strong gifts, and came back and got a degree and became a doctor in immunology so that he could practice what the Aborigines had taught him, psycho-neuro-immunology, which is how to use the mind to stimulate the immune system. And actually quite phenomenal what that man did. It was amazing. That's, again, in the sequel that people keep asking, well, what happened? Because to me, that's when it really got interesting, is when he came back from the outback. And so that's what we're finishing up and getting to the publisher in a couple of weeks, about how he would do what the Aborigines had taught him to do, how to heal and how to move this energy and see. And then pretty soon he developed the same abilities the Aborigines did, where he could see into the body, he could see into the other dimensions. He was telepathic to everything, and he would communicate to the Aborigines all the time. And I was married to him for a year before I realized he was telepathic. That's just a very interesting situation.
How did he hide that from you?
Quiet.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, he's very quiet man. He had, you had to ask the question. He was very honest. In fact, painfully honest. And if you didn't ask the question, you wouldn't get the answer. But if you asked him, he'd tell you. But I remember when I brought my sister to him the very first time. It was a snowstorm out here in Seattle. We don't know how to deal with snow, trust me. We just treat it like it's rain, and you know that doesn't work, especially with all the hills around here. No. So it was snowing, and so we had to bring my sister to him in his home up on this high, long driveway, which girls were raised in the Midwest. We know how to deal with snow. So we geared ourselves up with the boots and the shovels, and we went up this very long driveway in the snow to his house. And my sister was being treated by Gary at the time. I remember her sitting in his living room, and I'm at the kitchen window looking out at this beautiful home he's got. And I all of a sudden it popped in my head, wouldn't you love to live here with Gary? And I thought, where did that come from? That's such an odd thing that just popped in my head. And I remember thinking, no, I wouldn't. So there you go.
Oh, my. How funny.
Yeah. But he would sit at the table, and he would be really quiet. He wouldn't say anything because he's listening to what people aren't saying. So they're very interesting.
How fascinating. Now, when he did healing work, did he use his hands, like hands-on healing? Because there's a lot that's talked about in the book that's just emotional processing. But did he do hands-on also?
Well, that's a great question. He came back in 94 and realized he started developing his gifts. He started talking and communicating to his guide, Julie, which is talked about in the book. And he put his hand, he just followed his intuition. He put his hand on the back of their neck to his roommate at the time and just kind of put his hand there. And what he would do is he became the vehicle for this healing energy to go through his body. So this energy, it has an intelligence to it. It knows where to go. So he would just kind of become the vehicle. And then over time, so he would put his hand on the back of their neck, because it's kind of like the central point where everything goes out from there, or he would put it on an injured site. And then he realized, as he opened up and I think became more confident, he didn't need to be in the room with them. He could do it with a picture. And so he started using a picture. And then he started realizing, I don't even need that, because he's working with his angel, solar angel Julie. She's working through him. He needs to focus so she can use his eyes. You can't be, you've got to stay focused. And then he realized all he needed was a first name and a city, and then she knew how to instantly connect to that. And we started working on people all over the world, and then it got to the point where we would have bins of files just all over the kitchen, the counter, everywhere. And he knew that he didn't even need to know, he didn't even have to connect to everyone individually. He could just have the intention and just direct it that way. It's so fascinating what our minds think we can and can't do, and what you open to is astounding. Yeah, it was always interesting watching just miraculous things happen. I remember this man came to us with brain tumors, and he had not been pain-free for years and years, and came quite skeptical. Someone in his family had encouraged him to come, and so he came, and by the time, you could tell, it was all over his face. This is such baloney. I don't know what I'm doing here. If it wasn't for my mother-in-law, trust me, I would not have met you people.
But he total skeptic, yeah.
Oh, total skeptic. I mean, you could just see they would rather be outside where it was nice rather than sitting in with this guy who had to be as woo-woo as they get in his mind. And so Gary put his hand on the back of his neck, and that guy just transformed because it was the first time he didn't have pain in his head. He could feel it. And then Gary told me later in private that he could see the angel sort of using Gary's eyes and using the vision of, he could actually see her laser off those tumors.
Wow.
Because he started to be able to see inside the body, and he could see the chakras and what's spinning and what's not spinning and what's slowed down, and he could see the tumors, and he could see them shrinking or getting bigger, and it was fascinating to live with him.
Now, how long were you guys married?
Well, we were together about 5 or 6 years, and here's what happened. We were working on people who, you don't go to an alternative healer right off the bat. You exhaust typically, most people exhaust all their resources before they find us, and so we never advertised. It was always word of mouth, and people would find us when they had stage 3, stage 4 end cancers, AIDS,
right.
Things that there just wasn't anything that they could do. And he was helping them, but it was taking a long time when you've done that much damage. And that's what happened to Gary, is he had done so much damage from the MS that he no longer had it, but it had created a lot of damage. So we decided, let's go at the other end of that, and let's start teaching people how to stay well and how to heal themselves. They have the ability. Let's just start teaching them. And it's so much easier to teach 50 than to spend all that time trying to help one recover. So that's when we started going out and teaching, and then that's what brought me to your radio show.
Oh, gosh, that's so wonderful.
Goodness.
And then, but may I ask, because he has passed on, what happened? May we ask that question?
Sure. He lived well beyond, the doctors. The Aborigines said he really had about 6 months left when he came to them, and he lived about, I think, 12 or 14 years beyond what the doctors told him he wouldn't live. And then he came to me a year before he was going to pass and said that, I love that your listeners are so open to this, that I can tell all these stories that I normally don't mention. He came to me a year before he was going to pass and said, I've been asked to get ready to leave. I'm needed on the other side of the veil. My work here is done. And we were both really upset about that, as you can understand. We were both really happy and in love. And but, when you know that you're being asked, you can be more of assistance on the other side of the veil. Eventually, you calm down and accept that. And so he passed exactly a year later. And I remember we called hospice in 6 months before, because the hospice comes in 6 months before somebody passes. And Gary said, I'm going to need hospice. I'm going to leave in about 6 months. That's what they tell me. That's what my guide tells me. So we called hospice in, and they were like, we don't know why we're here. This man's functioning. He's fine. We don't understand. And then 6 months later, he died. What happened surprised me, and after that, in that he still continued to work with me. We're still working together, but now he's working from the other side. So we're still a team. It's just that he's able to assist more from the other side. So I still do healing work. I do a lot of consultations and, 1 hour to help people unblock and recognize. And his energy is he's part of my team. I got this team. We all do. I'd love to get into that tonight before the evening is over.
Absolutely.
But he would show up. He had a signature. If I close my eyes, it kind of looked like an eyeball. I saw it one time when I was in the shower washing my hair when he was here. And I realized, what the heck is that? And so I just kind of closed my eyes and kept watching it in the shower. And then I realized that's Gary in the other room working on me. He's sending me healing energy. He was always doing that. And so that's when I realized he just got busted. I realized he was working on me and helping me. And then after he died, he would show up with that at 8:00 every morning. Now, Gary was always punctual. And I'm always late. I don't know why those two always find each other and marry, but we do. So he would come to me with that energy at it wouldn't be at 5. It wouldn't be at 7:59 or 8:01. It was always 8:00 on the clock. It was always a joke. He was always punctual. My. So his energy would show up every morning, and I could see, because I could see energy at this point, I could see him downloading huge levels of this white energy into me, this beautiful healing light. And one time, I think it was 2 years ago in the spring, we had shifted our clocks forward. Does it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was an hour off, and I just thought that was hysterical that I finally I was on time and he wasn't. Yeah. We got this funny thing called time down here. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So we still continue to work. It's just that he's more helpful. He's truly, how does this book? Yeah.
It's just interesting because before the show, Becky and I were talking, as we always do, about, who we're going to be interviewing. And I had mentioned to you, Becky, I said, gee, he passed away. What happened? And Becky answered me by saying, well, he was more needed on the other side. So
she's good.
That's right.
That Becky's good.
That's right. I wanted to tell you something, too. In your book, I was so amazed with this. There was an exercise that Rose did with Gary with his arms out, and it started with his name.
Yes.
And, right. Oh, you want to speak a little about that? And I have to tell you something about that after. I am so excited about these two things that I realized reading in the book. I've never seen it anywhere else, and it just amazed me, and I'm thrilled over it. But this started with his arms out, and it started with using his name and a false name, right?
Right. It's muscle testing, and people use it all the time. I use it constantly to communicate to my guides with. It's because the body doesn't lie. The mind does, but the body doesn't lie. And the body, it's described in the book how, and you got to remember that the Aborigines were using things that they knew would work for him and his mindset. I'm sure they didn't need to muscle test with their own tribe because they were just, telepathic. But they would, in fact, you can do it right now. Your listeners can do it. Take your thumb and the finger next to it and put it in a circle. Now connect those two so that you have two circles with your fingers interconnected. I don't know if I'm describing this adequately. But basically you have your thumb and your finger together.
And 4 fingers?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, like a chain.
Like a chain, exactly. It's like an 8, and they're connected. Your thumb and your forefinger. So you've got the same thumb on the left connected to the forefinger on the left, and then the same on the opposite side. Now put them together so that they link. Now, if you ask, everybody's different, but if you ask, show me a yes, and then pull apart. For me, when I say show me a yes, they break open. It's like it flows. It just flows. If I say show me a no, then the muscle testing will, for me, everybody can be different. It doesn't move. They stay locked together. That's a no. And a maybe would be a little bit of a catch, but it'd still go through. That's for me. Now, if you were to say, my name is something that it's not, you would say, my name is Mary, but it's not. That, for me, I'm going to get a no response because it's not true, and the body knows that on a deep subconscious level. The cells know that. If I was to say my name is Robbie, then it would be clearly a yes because the body knows that. And so that's how you can get into some of these subconscious beliefs, and that's how the Aborigines worked with him to find out what are some of these underlying subconscious beliefs that are holding you back from healing. Gary would discover in the book, he described how he had this, he didn't want to live. He didn't feel worthy. There was some stuff that was going on underneath that was preventing this. And so I just love how well it's explained, how it's done in a really simple, easy way that anybody can relate to. They think because it's a physicist it's going to be really complicated, but it's not.
No, it was beautifully written. And also, this is the other thing, where the body knowing how to read, where Rose put all those papers that were written and told him, do not look at these papers. I'm going to lay them upon you, and you're going to rest here and meditate, and your body knows how to read. And it read all of this. And, and it reacted to him. Well, myself, I've been taught since a child by the angelic realm, the elders, a sacred language. And I write this language. And the thing they always taught me was my left hand, a person, when they have a writing done, they sign their name, send it to me. I draw from their name by touching it with my left hand. It goes up, I receive the language, and I write it with my right hand. And the instructions that are sent, when the writing is sent to the person, all they have to do is touch it, and they'll receive it. And this is the first confirmation I have ever heard from anywhere about the body knowing how to read. I was amazed.
Yeah.
I was absolutely amazed. And then also included with the name, because the elders told me the name is very important. And they did that in the very first muscle exercise. Your name is, it showed truth. Your name is not, it showed truth. I was just blown away when I read those things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
amazing.
We had an older psychiatrist come to us years ago, and he said that he was an older man, and he said years ago people would take these books or papers and put it under their pillows or their mattress, and that's where the term sleep on it comes from.
Right, came from.
Because subconsciously you would see there's so much more, the Aborigines know this. It's just a matter of what's your intention. My intention is to soak this up and to get it on many levels. And so it's the mind that tells you have to read it, It's the mind that tells you all these things. But I love it when I heard that.
When these papers were placed on Gary's body, what was the intent with that? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. He came back from the outback, and he actually started doing that until he finally realized he didn't need to do that. Again, it comes down to this, just have the intention of them healing. For instance, if somebody came to me and they had an autoimmune disease, I could see what Gary would never let them see what was on that paper because their mind would sabotage it and, throw a monkey wrench at it. Just like Rose didn't let Gary see those papers. So on the paper, he would put something like, I no longer have a need for this autoimmune system. My body is vibrant and healthy. All my cells operate at a beautiful, vibrant, healthy level, something like that. My body releases the autoimmune disease. And so it was that sort of thing that would be on the paper. He would place it with the writing face down on the chest. If they had under their shirt, he would put it under their shirt, and then the writing would actually be face down on their chest, and they would sit there for a few minutes, it made a big difference.
Yes, the body knows. It was amazing.
Knows.
I just love that. I was so thrilled. You can't even imagine.
And you know what, Becky, nobody has pointed that out before. Nobody's really, somebody's mentioned the muscle testing, but I don't think anybody's ever asked me about that. They don't really appreciate it. This
is the exact thing that the elders taught me about this language. The information that was given to them, they cannot read the symbolic symbols or anything. All they had to do is touch it, and they would know it. Their very being, their very soul would know it, and it would move in their life. It would change things and move. And this is the first time I have ever seen that come out anywhere. And I'm telling you, really, it is so wonderful. I mean, it's like confirmation for me again. I was so excited. Thank you so much. I just love the book.
Yeah. It comes down to what's your intention, what's your intention.
Yes.
And so the intention is to absorb that and to heal it, whatever.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting that Gary, he used the paper a lot, and then he decided he didn't need it anymore, that he could work with the subconscious. So he would connect to the subconscious and talk to the subconscious, always with permission, what's going on here, and start helping them see on a deep subconscious level what was going on and what was creating the problem. And I thought it was fascinating that he always connected to the subconscious, and the only ones who really knew he was talking to them were the autistic people.
Oh, my.
We had a number of, they don't have those filters, and they always knew when he was talking to them. And it was really interesting. We had a patient whose young adult son was autistic, beautiful. Oh, my gosh, I just loved both of these guys. And he would start laughing, and she'd ask him what he was laughing about, and he'd like, oh, that Gary is so funny. And Gary wasn't even anywhere near. Gary was miles away. But he knew that Gary was communicating and talking to him from afar. So,
I know. Oh, that's beautiful. So beautiful. His gift just grew and grew and grew, stronger and stronger. Yeah.
And it's still, he's still helping now. I get emails and calls from people all the time. Guess who was here?
Yes.
And a lot of my friends, who are healers, call him.
So he really learned how to do what the Aborigines know how to do, which is basically to move from one dimension to another with full consciousness.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like his passing was very unusual also. It's like he just let go and he was over on the other side.
And it's as thin as a razor. He's just kind of bopping back between both. I mean, he doesn't, it's so thin. All you have to do is call them. All you have to do is call them. It's so interesting how they're right there. You're not disturbing them. They're right there. Waiting for you to ask them to assist them. They can't help unless you ask. It's a free will planet. There's nothing wrong with struggle and pain. It's another way to learn, but the minute you ask, and I love this story, and I'm going to tell it because I think it'll really help your listeners a lot. I went to, do you guys know who Doreen Virtue is, the angel expert? Mm-hmm. She's so tuned into the angels and communicates to them, and she gave a workshop here in Seattle about angels, and she didn't give it here in Seattle, but she told this story at an angel workshop in Seattle that I attended, and she mentioned how she had done this beautiful workshop all day about how amazing these angelic teams are that are around you waiting to assist you, and talked them up, and then she went to her hotel that night, and she asked them to get her a cab to the local health club, and try as they might, the concierge could not find a taxi for her. So she said she's walking along the side of the road, and she's kind of grumbling to her angels, her team. I just mentioned how awesome you guys are, and now you can't even get me a taxi to the health club. And she said, I immediately heard in my head, did you ask us to get you a taxi?
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's a free will planet. There's nothing wrong with pain and struggle. It's just another way to learn. But the minute you ask, they are then allowed to step in and assist you in the way that's perfect for you. They're not going to do your homework, but they're going to show you what you need to know, what's holding you back. It's just tremendous. And there's a lot of information on my website, on the blog section, about how to work with your team, that how to communicate to them, how they communicate to you, how they can help you heal. That to me, that's just a life changer. I hand everything over to my team. I know that we all, and I bet you ladies are really good at knowing, you can see, like Gary came back and eventually could see the guides and who was standing behind people, and that, sometimes you have ancestors, sometimes you have, spirit guides, angels, ascended masters. It's quite the entourage around you, waiting to assist you and wanting to help, because every time they help, they're growing because they're being in service of love, and it's a win-win for everybody. There's nothing too big or too small or too much. The more they can help you, the more it makes a big difference. So it makes a big difference. And so I just hand it over to my team because I realize the last person who should know these things or be in charge is my head, my mind, honestly. I'll hand it over.
Yeah, because the mind is going to tell you what you want to hear, what you've been programmed to hear, and it's a very different experience of life. So, turning it over is wonderful if you can go to that place and release. But, again, today we're watching this incredibly horrific raise and rise in all kinds of disease. Autoimmune disease is exploding. Now, what do you think is going on with all of this? Because obviously we do have a more polluted environment. We have a number of challenges that we face from stress and things like that, but this incredible surge in the disease process, why is that?
That's a great question. I've noticed, fibromyalgia, which I had, is sort of a bucket load of symptoms. They don't know what to call it, so they just label it fibromyalgia. And I noticed that it's rising now, even in teenagers. And what that means is that you have pushed your body so extreme that it's just shutting down. That's really what it amounts to. That you've got so much stress, you're not really paying attention to your body. You have so much anxiety and fear running through you that your body just starts crashing. It starts shutting down. And I think what's happening is that we're seeing a rise in a lot of anxiety and stress, and the mind is just sort of running rampant, and it's creating problems. And when you learn how to observe the mind but not get caught up in it, it makes a huge difference, and start learning how to shift that mind to actually help you rather than create problems. It makes a big difference. And it's not that hard. It's just that the mind's going to argue and tell you, oh, no, you can't be quiet. Oh, no, you can't heal this. It's a big wake-up call when you start learning that the mind can actually, it was not designed to do the things that we're asking it to do. It was designed to, for instance, balance the checkbook, but it was never designed to tell you how to get the money in the bank. That comes from the soul. That comes from that inner knowing. And so that inner soul, that it's very quiet and subtle, and the mind is really noisy and chattery, and it's just been in charge. So what's happening is we're shifting. And we're shifting from now getting that mind to work for you and create what you want. And I like that the book talks about how to create health, how to start focusing on what you want, how to get your power back and start using that mind. And there's some information up on my website, too. But that's one of the things that I work on with people.
Your website is holzwellness.com. Is that correct?
Yes, HOLZ, wellness.com. Yes.
Okay. So everybody can go there. There's a lot of info. And also, again, the name of the book is Secrets of Aboriginal Healing, a physicist's journey with a remote Australian tribe, and that is available on Amazon.com. So, again, your website is Holz Wellness, spelled HOLZ Wellness.com. So this is great information for all of our listeners tonight. Just tremendous, tremendous stuff.
Yes, in the book, the steps are so perfectly written, very easy to follow, and clear instruction, and even, he gives examples of, and it's just amazing. I mean, really amazing. And it shows talking to yourself and knowing yourself, knowing your body, your spirit, and your soul, all three, and it shows that things can really be done, that it really can work. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think what happens is that you start recognizing that you've got this. It's like you've got this software running. That's what you're operating in the background, quietly. And a lot of it started when you were young, or you came in with it. It's operating in the background, right. And you don't know it's operating because you're so used to it. Like for me, that critic and that guilt was always running in the background, and you start becoming aware of that's creating problems emotionally, and then it's going to create problems in a physical way if I don't pay attention. So you start becoming aware that that's what's operating, and you upgrade your software, so to speak. You change that to a more loving, healthy software that's going to create what you want.
Right.
That's a big awareness.
That sure is.
Yeah, that's a huge awareness, and it's a nice change. And let me just go back to the Aborigines themselves. Can you tell us a little bit more about their culture? I mean, clearly they see everything is connected, that the land is a part of them. I mean, I've also heard it said that the Aborigines say, we don't own the land owns us. And a totally different way of thinking than what we have in this culture. But can you share more about them? They're so fascinating.
They are, especially when you have that kind of wisdom. You want to know, what are they thinking? What are their belief systems when you're that evolved? They'll tell you that the land is the connection to the earth is of utmost importance, and so many other indigenous cultures will tell you the same. They'll also tell you that what's so important is to honor the ancestors. That's who we are. That's part of us. Their fears, their experiences are part of us. It's part of our DNA, and to honor that, and that's another belief that you would find with a lot of other indigenous cultures. They will tell you that we complicate the simplest things. It's our minds that really are creating the problem. They really kind of feel bad for us that we've gotten caught up in these minds and that things come to us and we get really emotionally involved and attached to it. And it's about letting these experiences come to you, knowing that they're there for a reason. It's an opportunity to grow. It's a soul's game. It's an opportunity to grow. Why is it here? It's a gift, rather than being resistant or resentful or carrying it around as this heavy negative story all your life and creating more problems. So let it go. It's a beautiful thing, and then release it for the next experience opportunity. And you release it with gratitude. It's a blessing. Nothing
so everything is more in a flow situation where we just hang on to every little thing that we can. So also, what do they? So they're very connected to the land. What about the sky and the whole concept of extraterrestrials and the stars? Where does that fit in with their whole view of the universe?
Well, they see into all these other dimensions. I mean, they can see what we can't. They really think that we're quite primitive, to be honest with you, because when we started speaking out loud, we started losing these gifts. We could no longer hear the trees singing, and it was quite interesting. When I was in Uluru back in 2008, there is such a strong vortex of energy there at Uluru, and I saw this also when I was in France, very strong vortexes of energy. You'll see a lot of ETs flying around these high-energy sacred sites. It's just amazing. It's like moths to a light. And what kind of shocked me was when I was at Uluru, I was actually shocked to see an airport there with some hotels and actually a small shopping center, because it was like, oh my gosh, I just expected it to be, this beautiful sacred site. And I was on a radio show 2 nights ago, and she said the same thing happened to her when she went to Sedona. There's people everywhere. But the tourists at Uluru were out there on lawn chairs at night flashing flashlights at the ETs who were flashing back.
All right. They're having a party.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So, that's not, and actually I taught for a little bit in Australia, and this stuff is nothing to them. It's just, it's just here in the States, they just make you think you're crazy if you believe in aliens and ETs, and it's like, no, there's a beautiful book. I highly recommend it to your listeners because I know they're ready for this. It just came out. You can't get it at any bookstore, very deliberately. Tom Kenyon has this beautiful book called The Arcturian Anthology that just came out a couple months ago.
Oh,
you can get it at his website, tomkenyon.com, Kenyon. And the book is called The Arcturian Anthology. They keep selling out of it. It's it blew me away. It's about this beautiful assistance coming in from all over to help us now as we shift into these higher dimensions. It's such an amazing thing that's happening on this planet, that we're shifting into these higher dimensions, and we've never had so much help. Again, your entourages are just so powerful waiting to assist because we're the brave ground crew that came here to help. We are the ones who not a lot of the angels don't want to go into a body, into this heavy dimension, third dimensional, and then you get conditioned and forget how powerful you are and who you are. So you're the ground crew, you're the human member of this team, and start opening to that. It's a huge, huge difference. And these Arcturians are there assisting and helping, and that's what the book is about, is how we can shift out of this into these higher dimensions. And they give this information because we're ready for it. So it's a beautiful, and the Hathor material by Tom Kenyon, and Judy Sion, another beautiful book about our star brothers and sisters assisting us and giving us information that's extremely helpful. How to heal the body so we can heal faster.
Yeah, for sharing that. That's a good lead on some great information. And so why is it then that, do you think, that Gary ended up not working with Native Americans here in this country, but going all the way to Australia to work with Aborigines?
That's a great question. I think it was because we here were not tainted with any image of the Aborigines. And just as the Australians are not tainted by any image of the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. The Aborigines that we worked with were very remote. There's about 620,000 Aborigines in Australia, and only 20% of those are remote in the outback, no connection to man. And so those are the ones that we wanted, those are the ones that we were exposed to. But see, we had no idea of who the Aborigines were, whereas some of the Australians would say, well, they've got an alcohol problem, they've got a poverty problem. Those are the ones who have been touched by Western civilization. Like the Indians, we have taken their land away, their connection, and that's just what's created the problem. And so we didn't have any preconceptions or tainting, and that's why I think it's sort of a untainted version, and that's why I think they brought him out there. It was part of the
right.
Are they still interested in working with white people? I can understand why they would like to stay away from civilization. I shouldn't say just white people, because it's people of any color, but I'm talking about just in civilization. It makes sense to stay away from this craziness that we're wrapped up in. So, do they still want to bring people in? I mean, it seems like they've been incredibly generous with their time and energy with the groups that you've traveled with to meet with them.
And people contact me, how do I get to be with the tribe, whatever. It's very, very limited, and I think that anybody can simply connect to them telepathically in their mind. Even if you don't feel you're getting the connection, when I do have someone come for a consultation, I bring my team in. I know the Aborigines are part of my team. I will bring out a picture of one of the Aborigines and put it there with my other team. Light that candle, call them in. I simply call them in. Raven could actually connect to them. In fact, she was connecting to them and talking to them telepathically a lot before we got to the outback. And then I noticed when we first met them that they were all pointing to her and grinning because they knew that she was, oh, that's the one who's been talking to us, you know. So, anybody can talk to the Aborigines. You don't need to actually go there. You don't actually need to go to Australia to be healed. You can do it yourself. Tap in, and it's kind of like fake it till you make it. Just talk to them. Eventually you'll start to feel it. Mm-hmm. It's a process.
That's right. That way your mind isn't trying to intercept. It just knows what is being said is what is, and it doesn't, try to intercept and stop. That's true.
Yeah. The mind is always going to doubt it. It's just, but you know that, so you're like, well, thank you. But here's how you can help.
That's right.
Yeah, just you tell your mind to sit over there in the corner and be quiet for a little while.
That's right.
Do something else. But
you get to focus on my breath. Exactly. You get to focus on my breath. You get to, you give it a job. Yeah.
Right. Now, are there any rites of passage, or, are there any special things that the Aborigines do for the medicine people in their own tribes? I'm not allowed to talk about that sort of thing. I can't talk about, those are very sacred and secret. So they've given us enough to get going. Right.
Because truly, they'll say that your mind is the biggest problem. And once you realize that and how to use it, and how to call in a help from the other side, that's really all you need to know. Their prescription to get well is the mind plus the big guy equals anything. If your body, mind, and spirit are aligned, anything can be healed. And so that's all you need to know, how to use that mind and how to call in help.
You got to bring it there. You got to forgive yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just learning. It's like this is an amazing place to learn and grow. Yeah. This planet offers a body and emotions. That's what this planet does. It's a free will planet, and it offers body and emotions. And it's such an amazing place to grow as a soul because you get to experience with the body and the emotions, and that's usually what gets us into trouble. But it's not really that as much as it's a sign letting you know when you've moved away from love and how to get back again. And the emotions are telling you, oh, you're into the mind again. You're into that fear base, that anxiety. That's how I know, oh, my mind's in charge. My mind's driving this bus now. Okay. I got to get it like the dog out the window with its head out. It doesn't know where it's going, but it's excited rather than being behind the wheel. That's when I hand it over to my team again. I can tell when my mind is taking it back when I start getting stressed out. It's trying to figure it out. It's not designed to figure that out.
That's right. And our minds are taught to narrow things down and instead of expand them. So if I were to try to tune into the Aboriginal mind, what I experience is the vastness that you described, like the vastness of the desert. Whereas our mind here in this country, again, we tend to see things through a tiny little tunnel. But what they see things through is this incredible vastness. I mean, it's hard. When I think of them, it's hard for me to form a thought because it's so vast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. It's
like.
Go ahead, Becky.
I would take a picture of one of them, find a picture on the internet or somewhere of one of them, and I would copy it off, and I would place my hand on them and ask them to connect with me, and then sit back and relax and let the connection move, and they'll connect with you, so even if it's silently at first. And eventually, then you'll be able to eventually hear. But I know once you're touching it, you're using your body, you're using your physical body, you're using your spiritual body, and you're using your soul. And you're bringing it all together as a balance. And you're asking. So that's what I would do. And I would do that in many different forms of other things. So that you're not only using your soul, but you're using your soul, your spirit body, and your physical body by touching something and seeing physically the picture, touching the picture. It's bringing it all together. And then just relax and let it happen. Let the connection connect.
That's a great idea. I like that.
I love that. That's great,
yeah.
Becky.
And when the mind offers its sweet little opinion about it, this ain't working, and blah, blah, blah.
You tell them, be quiet.
Don't sit in the corner.
That's right. Go sit in that corner and be quiet, because this is going to be done.
Time out. There's a time out for the mind. Yeah. Well, I find it so interesting that you're right, Robbie. That's what we come here for. We come here to experience the body. We come here to experience emotion. And then we get here and we do everything we can to try to avoid it. So, we bury our feelings and we criticize the way we look and we don't accept it, and we're always trying to make ourselves be something that fits an idea of the media of what they're saying we should look like. I mean, it's a really sad state of affairs. And then what Becky and I also encounter with people is they think that, if I can't work it out here with my emotions, I'll work it out when I die. And it's like, I got a news flash for everybody.
No.
Your emotions live in your body. So when you drop that, you can't just go to the other side and work things out. That's not how it is. So even though you can address things, it's in a very different way, and it's a lot slower than what you could have happen here. So this is a grand opportunity.
And those opportunities that are perfect for you are what's going to show up. And you have to realize that as a soul, it's rich. I remember one time talking to a spirit from the other side who had passed, and I said, well, what do you miss not being in a body? Because what an amazing adventure to be in a body, when you're an etheric spirit. And this spirit told me, I miss a good sneeze, a really good sneeze.
Isn't that funny?
And she also said she missed watching a wound heal, an injury heal. She said, I really miss that. So as a human, we're like, ooh, that sounds painful and icky. Some of these emotions are just, I don't want to go near them. But the soul is like, oh my gosh, this is rich. This is rich. And the Aborigines are like, experience it. But then let it go. Just keep letting it go.
That keeps the connection movement.
Yes, it's that stagnation of the thoughts and then the emotions, and then, of course, then the body follows right behind. So the body and the emotions are just ways to show you and to help you experience even faster. They're great, like the dashboard, I think, is a great symbol because it's telling you right away when something's going on. So you gain an awareness. You gain greater consciousness of something. It's always moving towards love. Yeah.
Yes. And we need to not drown out those signals. I mean, another great analogy with that is when you're driving in your car and you hear a noise. And instead of paying attention to the noise, you just turn the radio up louder. And that's what people do.
That's what I did, yeah. You don't crash your body twice without turning that radio up pretty loud, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, the big man upstairs absolutely loves you because you crashed twice and you're still here.
Yes.
I'm a slow learner, but eventually I figured it out. I figured out if you move towards love is always the answer. It's always the answer. It's healing. It's everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So, a lot of us get caught up in we don't think we're worthy. And, some of us are really old souls. We've been around the block many times, so we're going to get some really healthy challenges because we're up for it. And a lot of it is, can you love yourself despite what everybody has told you from day one, how you're unworthy? That's a really high-level lesson to learn. And if you recognize that's what I'm here to learn, it makes it a little easier. And your body's going to show whether you love yourself or you don't. So it's just another way to recognize how to love yourself. And we've gotten, some of us we're so overzealous, and what I know I am. What didn't I sign up for is what I was wondering. But it's because it's what we're equipped for it, and it's just huge opportunities. So these health challenges are opportunities to find out why am I off base, off course, and what's going on. And the minute you have a fear, it's just a catalyst to bring it to you, because it's like, okay, it's just like the mind is afraid of this. It's like you have to learn how to move through it. If you've been afraid of going on an escalator and you just keep playing with it and eventually you master it, you don't have that fear anymore. Or haunted houses, you turn on the lights, you walk through it with your guides, your team, let them comfort you, let them see, oh, it's just painted plywood. You move through these fears, and it's the fears that hold you down in lower vibrations, and letting go of these fears help raise you up in vibration. And so what's going on is we're moving into these higher dimensions, we're moving into higher vibrational states. It's very clear what's not working and what you cannot take into these higher vibrational states. So the illnesses and the emotional stuff is coming up really fast to let you know, baggage, got to go. You got to move through this.
That's right, got to go. That's right. Yeah. We're going up on the 10th floor. This has got to be gone.
Yeah.
Right. Believe me, I get that.
Don't want to be carrying that up another flight of stairs.
No. And for heaven's sake, you have to. You've got to be good to yourself. I mean, even in this physical realm, even be good to yourself.
But it's not easy to do when, for example, Gary, who had an abusive alcoholic father, because when you're a child, you identify, you basically say, well, if I was a better child, a better person, my father wouldn't be like this. So you really do take on the onus of all of that, and then undoing it is the key. It's all that self-reclamation. I have to reclaim myself and all these parts of myself, that whether they were misidentified or left by the side of the road or packed away. That's where the real power is, isn't it? And taking back all these pieces. It
is. What it is it's recognizing it's just the mind. It's just the mind. You're buying into what the mind's telling you. Do you guys remember, this is going to show how old we are. I don't know how old you are, but do you remember Andy Griffin? Remember Andy Griffin? Okay. Do you remember Otis the drunk who would come in and he'd lock himself up into the prison and the cell there? And then he'd reach his arm through when he was done and he'd grab the keys and unlock himself. He just was sort of self-monitored that way.
Yeah.
It's the same way with our minds. Our minds have imprisoned us, and we need to realize that it's just simply as easy as recognizing that and grabbing the key and unlocking it. And if you want assistance from your team, which is part of your higher self, Christ self, God, the big guy, whatever you want to call it, Ask them to help me. Help me lose this grip of the mind. Every step of the way they will help. Help me recognize where I'm creating problems, and now help me have compassion. Help me understand. Help me let go of this stuff. Help me grab that key, and they'll hand it to you. Yeah, let's work together. You were designed to work together as a team.
A great idea would be to write these down on paper. And then, even though your mind knows this now, this is where you could trick your mind. My mind, I just sent to the corner. He's not listening. So I'm going to let you know. Write these things on paper, shuffle them all up, turn them so you don't see them, pick a few out in the evening, and then lay them on you. And your mind doesn't know which ones you have. All it knows is this, paper being laid on you. So you can start receiving that right away. And on your own, you're doing it right away, and you're not letting your mind get the best of you.
That's a great idea, Becky. I like it.
I like that.
Here's
another thing. Oh, go ahead.
Incorporate. I think we're going to have to incorporate that into this class that we're doing. I mean,
yes, absolutely.
Because it's all about the same kind of thing, and this is going to be wonderful for our 4 students that are going to be working with us. So
yes.
Yeah, I like
Powerful.
that, especially the shuffling of the papers and then just picking a few so you don't know, truly. Even though you wrote them, you don't know which ones you picked. I like that.
That's right. You're not going to let your mind get any clue.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
You can also slip it under your mattress and sleep on it.
There you go.
Ooh,
now, I taught earlier this morning. I had a class this morning, and one of the women there said she has the gift where she can see energy, and she said, your book, I could see energy coming off this book. And I get that actually from a lot of other people. I get emails from people saying, I could feel that energy coming off the healing energy coming off this book. She said she could actually see it. And so I know that the Aborigines put that intention in this book. And I kept getting the message from my guides, just get it in their hands. It's like that paper. They don't need to read it, just get it in their hands. You can take something like that, the book or other books or these papers that you're talking about, and put it under your pillow, put it under your mattress, and it comes down to intention. My intention is to incorporate this, Allow that to come into all levels. Yeah.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
And before you know it, your mind will be silent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bet that's a fun workshop.
That'd be a relief. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I bet you ladies have a fun workshop.
Oh yeah.
We have a blast with everybody, and everybody changes so dramatically. It's great to watch. It's really this was so heartening to both Becky and I and all of this. But I've got to ask you another question about the Aboriginal culture because it so fascinates me. Are they like nomads? Do they travel? Because they have such a big desert that nobody's going to bother them in. So do they travel quite a bit throughout?
They do. They're very nomadic. Some of them have villages. Here's the thing. Remember I said there were 20% of them that were in the outback?
Yeah.
They're made up, that 20% is made up of hundreds of tribes. Wow. And the tribes are very small. They may be 12 people, 24 people. They're very small. So I can't talk about all the other tribes. I can only talk about the tribe that Gary was involved with and the tribe that I was involved with. They can be all quite different, but the tribes that we were with, but I think they have a lot of similarities. So they're very small. There's hundreds of them out there. Sometimes they never even connect to each other physically. They don't need to. They do it telepathically. But, of course, they will connect to marry and that sort of thing. But, yeah, they're very nomadic. I thought it was really cute that when Gary went there, the tribe had not been exposed to white people except for the 2 healers. And the little boy loved the wheels on Gary's wheelchair. Isn't that just a universal? Don't you love that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And when I was in the outback with these women, one of them had a purse that somebody had given her, and so she's carrying around this very expensive red leather purse, and nothing in it. But I just thought that is so endearing that women seem to have that, we just like.
We have a need for handbags.
She was feeling love.
I know. I just thought that was so sweet. Some Somebody gave that to her, yeah. And the little girl, they had a little girl there, and she kept following. We were very respectful, and we stayed away from the Aborigines until they called us into ceremony. But the little kids were free to roam, and they were very curious, and they'd come up to you, and they would rub your arms and just give you the biggest smile and send love to you. And I had bought it was so funny. I went to Australia and realized I am not equipped to go into the outback. It's way harsher than I envisioned. So the woman that I was with took me to get a canteen that hung off of my shoulder on a belt. And how interesting that it was made in Colorado, and here it is. I had to go to Australia to buy it. And so this little girl was curious what this canteen was that was wrapped over my shoulder with a strap. And so I took it off, and I showed her that it was water. And I squirted some in her mouth, and she just grinned and said, rainwater. There's just such innocence and sweetness and such love that pervades from them. They're very community-oriented. They're very service-oriented. They really operate out of tremendous love and gratitude. That's the prevailing energy that comes off of them. And big smiles, big smiles, very shy, very, very shy. Just so endearing, very sweet.
Very natural.
Well, I'm so glad that they're here with us on the planet, and that we didn't manage to wipe them out like we've tried to do with so many other indigenous people.
Yeah.
So, they are a gift. They are a gift to us, to everybody.
They're a gift. And they show you what potential there is when you can get this mind quiet and undistracted and start learning how to use the power of the mind and start connecting to the other side of the veils. They show us what we are capable of doing. Just start out with, like we said, that little cloud bursting to see you can create thunderstorms. You can do all kinds of stuff. When you start focusing, that's the big key. That's one of their steps is focus. That focused mind is so powerful, and every thought is creating something. There's no idle thoughts. Every thought is creating something, so start creating what you want.
Right.
Yes,
exactly.
in love.
Make better choices in what you think. And don't let that mind go like a crazy monkey, but what mine feels like sometimes. Another question about Gary, because he did have a very, very debilitating illness. MS can be so destructive, and it certainly did strip away a lot of his myelin sheathing and all of this. So he suffered tremendously, but it looks like he never completely was able to get rid of all the symptoms of MS. Is that the case?
That's, I love the way you phrase that. He realized that the Aborigines, and it wasn't just the two healers, it was the whole village that were sending healing and helping him. What they did is they stopped the MS. So he realized that he no longer had MS in his body. But what he was left with was the severe damage that he'd had. I think he'd had 20 years or something with this. I mean, he had been...
That's a long time, yeah.
That's a long time. He had done a lot of damage. And so, he did a tremendous amount of reversal, and that can happen to a lot of people. If you go way too far, it takes so much to get it back. Sometimes it goes a little too far, and that's, I think, what happened to him. But he realized he got feeling throughout his body, which he had the rest of his life, which he had not had for 7 years before. He was actually functioning at a much higher level. He was able to kind of clumsily walk. When I met him in 2001, he was living on his own. He was functioning. He'd come to work dressed in a beautiful suit. He was living, he could stand up and take care of himself and drive himself to work and all of that. So he was functioning at a much better level. But he never completely got out of the chair. But he was able to do so much more. But I think that was part of his soul's journey. And I think that what that wheelchair, again, it was a gift in that it forced him to sit for hours like the Aborigines do, connecting to the other side. The Aborigines will go into dreamtime, or what you might call meditation, or put your mind in the corner, whatever you want to call it. But they'll do that more than half of the day. More than half of their time they spend in this dreamtime state, and they start about age 3 or 4. And so Gary, being in that wheelchair, rather than this busy globe-trotting physicist, was able to start really connecting like the Aborigines do. Again, distractions taken away. So he'll tell you that wheelchair was the best damn thing that ever happened to him, is how he put it. And the man never cursed. He felt so strongly that it also enabled him to really focus so that solar angel could work through him. He was the eyes. He was she worked through him. And by being so focused and not distracted and quiet and calm, they could work together and do amazing things. So there's a purpose to everything.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because I wondered if he had any resentment or any bad, feelings or, from the symptoms that he was left to deal with, but apparently not. He had a very holistic view of all of this.
I never heard that man complain ever, once, not ever. And I like that the sequel really goes into much more about what happened after he came back and how, his stories and the healing stories, some of them are so dramatic and beautiful, and it goes into a lot more of that and what happened to him. It's really quite a dramatic transformation. I don't think if I had met him in '94 before he went into the Outback, I don't think it would have had anything to do with him. I think he was a very brilliant, somewhat arrogant is what I've heard his guy describe him as. He was highly sought after. He was hot stuff, and so I think that he needed to get a little bit more humbled and transform, and and that the wheelchair also made him had to have assistance sometimes, and it helped him become more compassionate towards others, more, it totally changed him in so many ways. I can see where it was absolutely perfect. The human mind would probably love that happy ending where he walks away into the sunset, but
sure,
it was absolutely perfect the way it was. He taught us because people ask, if he was such a tremendous healer, why didn't he heal? Well, we have a chapter on that in the book to describe exactly why not, But you ladies have already touched on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is the name of your new book, Robbie?
The name of the new book is Secrets of Aboriginal Enlightenment.
Ooh.
So we wanted to take it farther and expand it into enlightenment. So yeah, so it's been picked up by Inner Traditions, is now the publisher for the first book, and they're also going to be taking the sequel out, and I suspect it'll be out this year. So.
Oh, that's what you have to promise, please, to come back and tell us all the stories from that book as well. It's just been such a wonderful evening with you.
Yes.
Thank you. Ladies are fun. You're very interesting and fun. Anytime.
Thank you. Well, we definitely want to have you back, because this has been, you're a great guest, and you're so well-spoken, and you've given a wealth of information tonight that is very thought-provoking in a good way, so that our minds can now think in a good way. So.
Yes. And open those hearts, huh?
Yeah. Filled with gratitude for all the opportunities. Yes.
Yes.
It's remarkable, your life choices and how you've come to this place, and now how many people you are able to help. This is just tremendous.
Beautiful. Yes.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, thank you so much again for taking your time and spending it with us this evening. And please keep us posted on the publication of your book, because we do want to have you back for sure. And let everybody know when it's available so they can buy that book as well as this book, which is also, again, available on Amazon.com. And the name of it is Secrets of Aboriginal Healing, a Physicist's Journey with a Remote Australian Tribe. And your website is Holz, HOLZ, wellness.com. And there's a lot of information there you said that people could see. And now you also work long distance, so if people wanted to work with you across the country, they could schedule an appointment.
Yes, and there's an online course that's up there that they can buy for as little as $1 if they're in financial straits. They pay what they want, and they access it when they want to integrate this information into their life to really work it. We try to make it fun and easy and quick. And affordable, no excuse. So when they're ready, that info is up there. Yeah. That's
just terrific. Well, thank you again so very much, Robbie.
Thank you.
Tremendous.
Thank you.
Tremendous.
Fun.
Yes. Well, many blessings to you, and thanks again. And now we're going to turn to Becky. And Becky, what is your message, and who's it for this week?
Yes, this is an amazing, beautiful name that I was given, and then the message for this person. The name that was given to me was Katachi, and your message is turquoise. Resume your spiritual walk. Niyasutu shiadarakahi neantokosa, laraso inde noreata hak, halarati siate shimiando to krosia, yeotorasa, yarasitia, katachi. We are with you. That was amazing.
Wow.
I just loved that name. I was astonished
name.
when I heard it. Yes. Well, Katachi, please let me know what happens when you receive your message. I'd love to hear from you. And what a beautiful name.
That is beautiful. The whole message is beautiful, too. And I always get chills when you speak in the angelic language, and I also wanted to let everybody know that is signing up for this class, that's something that you're going to be giving to people as a part of what they're going to be learning about. You are actually going to do a prayer for each person that they can listen to just, by turning on their computer or their MP3 or whatever in the world that they have to listen to it on. So this is, again, another way to encourage the body, mind, spirit to come together. So this is, oh, my God, what a great evening, Becky.
I know, it was wonderful. Oh, I enjoyed this show so much. I enjoyed everything. Oh, it was great.
I also want to thank Becky Shields for being our call screener tonight. Thank you, Becky. I know you deflected a couple of things that needed deflecting. And thank you so much.
Yes.
So, everybody, It's been a real pleasure. And tune in again next week. We're going to have another fabulous guest. We have great guests every single week. And I know that's why you listen to our show. So just keep tuning in. And Power Preppers, 5 to 6 on Thursday, if you want to hear about the downfall of Obamacare, what we need to know. So,
I'm going to listen to that.
I know. That's going to be a good one.
I want to hear.
That's going to be a great one.
It's going to be. It's right.
Yes. So
That's
everybody
wonderful.
Take care, be safe, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will be talking with you again on Saturday night, a week from tonight.
Yes. Yes. Good night, Patricia.
Good night, Becky.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.